Thank you, Ryan. Imagine Santa Claus was probably quite sad about that poem. Okay, our next reader is Lisa Moore. She's a professor of English and Women's and Gender Studies at the University of Texas in Austin. Her writing has been awarded the Lambda Literary Foundation Award, the Choice Outstanding Academic Book Award, and the Art Lines Juried Poetry Prize, and recognized as a Split This Rock Poem of the Week. She's the author and editor of 4 scholarly books, and her poems have appeared in journals and anthologies including Ostrich Review, Lavender Review, Sinister Wisdom, and Codex Journal. She's a member of the Squaw Valley community of writers. Welcome, Lisa.
I am more than delighted to be here, and I really want to thank John, Michael, and Cindy for the invitation, and Noah and Ryan for your contributions tonight. I want to thank Malvern Books and Matt for making such a welcoming home for fun party here tonight. And I want to thank Madge for bringing extra snacks, and of course, for everything. And all the wonderful friends that I see here tonight. I have some of my colleagues from UT here, some of my undergrad students, and some former TAs who've taught me a lot. And I do want to just say that Logan's lecture in my Intro to Creative Writing class on translating poems from languages that you don't speak, and Anushka's lecture on fairy tales and how to use them in your writing, and Ryan's lecture on humor in poetry have all had an impact on my poems. So just to, I'm going to be reading tonight from my chapbook in progress, which is called Cold Garden. Hi, Crawford. Crawford is also here. So it's called Cold Garden, and I just want to say something about the landscapes that you're going to encounter in this series of poems. So some of them are set in the place I grew up, which is Calgary, Alberta, and a ranch close to Calgary on the Highwood River. And Calgary is at the in Western Canada on the intersection of the Bow and Elbow Rivers, and it was a Blackfoot settlement for 1,000 years. And then in 1876, a Scottish colonel, Colonel MacLeod, arrived there, and he named the place Calgary after his birthplace on the Isle of Mull. And that word Calgary had itself been named by settlers from the 11th century Vikings, who had called it Kaltgard, which means cold garden. And then a bunch of the other poems are set in Austin, Texas, and you'll recognize that setting, I think. So yeah, I have about 18 minutes of material here, I think. Cold Garden. I hail from the cold garden. I tasted mountain ash, saw bachelor's buttons undone. They kept no cordial for weakness, especially in children. Shame poppies throve. I remember the cold river, a secret room in the woods, my own death, the smash and scatter of that vessel, horses and fresh snow, the letting go. Hello, Calgary. Some of you may have heard that NPR story on the song, Hello, Calgary. It was actually a This American Life. It was the theme song of my hometown growing up, but come to find out it was the theme song of a lot of cities, not just Calgary. Dear Calgary, the song says, you are the best hometown I know. My mother told me he tormented me for weeks. My teenager cried like a baby at the base of the ski hill. A woman walking by this pile of tears gave me a thumbs up. Calgary, you are the only hometown I will ever have, and I do not know that you are the best. But during the kids' ski lesson, I sneaked to the top of the mountain to take a selfie and ski a Black Diamond Run. Hello to you, to whom I always want to say goodbye. The ailing ancient spruce, wide white trails down Mount Allen, Saskatoon berry syrup on waffles, a jackrabbit sitting tall in the dawn light, peering through the door of my childhood, saying hello, watching 3 feet of snow melt in a day under the warm Chinook wind. Alberta floods. 13,000 evacuated from High River. The Dairy Queen, where we took her from the home for her weekly cone, not even a dimple in the lapping flood. Glacial meltwater, our swimming hole, that river was never safe. Even in August, it numbed the feet after a few minutes. We jumped in upstream so the water could hurl us, furious, as far as the flat beach beside the barn. My brother clung, blue and puking, to the canoe in lieu of learning to swim. That last summer, vowing never again, I lay on the hot, flat sandstone, hoping to brown my skin, shed something, melt some ease into my chest. I'm homesick for those mountains where I never was at home. Tic-tac-toe scratched on that flat rock, washed away. Football. That night at the farm, when my younger brother, maybe 14, was suddenly stronger than me, I managed to get him to the floor. Sitting on him kept him still. I still outweighed his bony ass by probably 20 pounds. When I'd loosen my grip, he'd get an arm free and beat me with it. He left my face, as my father said later, swollen up like a football. Disgusting. I slid words like needles under my brother's skin. That was how I sought to save myself. I spoke to make him hate himself, and there I may have been successful. This is for my friend Anne. Moan and low. Starlings slice dull, low sky. Hackberries gather at someone's fence. Winter pansies lean in to listen. Cement steps catch my knees. Anne's arm. I've never seen you like this. I bet you'll never catch me crying. Starlings, what have I gone and done? Jax blows a kiss from a truck window, catches me crying. What have I gone and done? At winter solstice, I want to hibernate. The solstice sky cold with rain, and I'm alone in a king-sized bed, polite and looted. Now my children's breakfast bacon fries. So weak, I lean against the stove. I'm not hungry, but into it anyway. Every morning since this started, someone has offered me some. In the middle. I stopped taking the medicine so I would dream again, but no dreams came. Dear Capricorn, I have never loved you like you wanted to be loved. Food, I hope, is medicine, vital, wild, a mash of cantaloupe, beets, ginger, garlic, cayenne, kale. It's the middle of my life. Jung says, that's when you have to go back to college. Before long, amid the tall, dried grass, the dog will find the ball. Dragonfly or hummingbird. After all that work on the third chakra, a bowel movement is instinctual. The second chakra deals with the same material as Freud, sexual problems. Third chakra, Adler, problems of the will. Then I walk home across the mixed grass blackland prairie until I stop for a hummingbird. Or is it a dragonfly? And why so much less romantic, if so? See, there are butterflies, brown ones and yellow, and pink primroses, and blue bonnets which are not blue. Who wants to look at her own shit, really? That's why I can't see the bicycle in the back of my crowded garage. The lure of religions is the promised disappearance of the self. Dragonfly or hummingbird? Cinnamon rolls. She said, I was a piss poor butch in Chicago, let me tell you. In Chicago, I ate a big steak and a lobster tail with my first lover, a great butch, one of my favorites. Where are all the butches going? Lament the femmes, trying to support transitions as their girlfriends become men. That's just how he rolls. He loves cinnamon rolls just like when he was a girl. This is for my students. Do you have to be gay to take this class? Of course. As you would know if you were in the know, this is a singles bar where we gays mingle, make the scene, find dates. Of course not. I welcome students of all genders and all desires, including none. But as you may have heard, you do have to be gay to get an A. Of course. In this room, you will cherish embarrassment tenderly. Befriend the body's oddities and shame. Swell with delight in your own weird way, and by then you either will or might as well be gay. Easter 2014. Easter lies on top of Passover this year, like the right hand over the left. Over and over, I dream my own death. Once, the vessel cracked. Sparks, smoke and breath poured over the heads of my children as they wrestled with my frail body. My boys were men bereaved. I felt the lifted weight. The oldest gathered hollow bones into his arms, a sticky, wordless stain of ashes left behind. My heart burst. I blessed him with release from my only human love. I am the uninvited guest at the neighbor's Seder. Toffee candy topped with chocolate, dried ginger, unleavened sweetness. In the bare room, the kids play bingo and wrestle over the afikoman. Over and over, wrestle and suffer, ginger and faster. This one's for Madge. Epithalamion. The day we get gay married by the river, water glittered, silver bound, a dream. I wake from a dream of writing a poem, squint into blue-white Alberta sunshine. In the dream, the wind from the foothills blows my pink scarf into a translation. I write into Madge's curls. Our sweet boys in the dream, only these cowboy shirts and silver bracelets. I hate over the wind's clatter. I interrupt myself. I learn my dad and grieve it. I can't explain, but cocktails at the bar were only $3.52. It's not what you think. I tell him, time. Clutching hands, the boys peer into a too small tip jar. I wake, I interrupt myself, I write. El Refugio, Texas. His 10-year-old body was cut, she said, drugs pushed into the opening. Then he was sold across the border. Now he's on our soil, one of 60,000, waiting to be rolled to the next 21-day destination, a trailer park, an air base, a campground, before it gets too cold. My body is an opportunity to breathe, to walk, to trim my nails. My heart has this chance to break with sorrow. On the table in front of me, as I write, popcorn, cashews, the romance of plump blueberries. If only I could give this food to the hungry, but of course I can. My heart has this chance to break with sorrow. I hate, I shiver, I go numb thinking of a child chewing on a shoe. Heather leaves town Monday. Refugee resettlement, where she's on file with her EMT credentials. Can't tell her where she'll be, just that she'll be gone a while. Nephews. We have a summer bumper crop of nephews. Every bedroom lined with pallets, pallets lined with the bodies of boys. In Boys Climbing a Tree, Goya shows one brother using the other as a step stool. Henry and Mark lived on the streets and heroin for more than a year. Henry says the cravings are still right here, palm flat before his face. He doesn't talk to Mark. They saved each other's lives. They risked each other's lives. Nathaniel is the lucky one, youngest son of the second husband, just a little safer. He wants to get into the legal marijuana business. His math teacher tells him it's the new Wild West, lots of opportunity on the slopes of Bald Mountain. He says he's clean. He means no felonies. He served drinks at our party. John's t-shirt says, "Jesus loves Muslims, ask me about it." John will marry Gretchen in 2 weeks. They can't live together yet, so staying with the lesbian aunts makes sense, right? Jesus loves us too. He reads his morning Bible at the table with our 10-year-old, who reads Greek myths and prays each night that the children in Gaza may be happy, healthy, and holy. John says it was hard to get into Saudi Arabia, so he went to Jordan. Our hospitality, he says, is Jordanian. Pantoum, Raising White Men. Here on the street where police were called on a black neighbor, in the week the Ferguson killer is not indicted, where we walk the dog and lie on the cold, wet sidewalk in protest, I am raising white men. In the week the Ferguson killer is not indicted, in these poems I know what I reap, that shall I sow. I am raising white men. When I am dead, I will wait for them in these poems. The boys walk the dog and die in on the cold, wet sidewalk. The youngest cries when his uncle gives him an Indian burn. When I am dead, I will wait for them in these poems. I twist away to expel the stink of what I've consumed. The youngest cries when his uncle gives him an Indian burn. In these poems, this I know. What I reap, that shall I sow. I twist away to expel the stink of what I've consumed on the street where police were called on a black neighbor. This is, got 2 more. The second last poem is dedicated to my friend Camille, who died in 2010. It's called Acts of Devotion. 1. Answer the phone. Happy to see your friend's name on the caller ID. Hear someone else's voice, deep and serious. Begin to listen. Walk into the other room, scream. Drive through sheets of rain. Dodge lightning, let thunder hush you. Madge drives, you wail. Madge drives, you don't know where you're going. Madge drives, you zip the hood onto your raincoat. By the time you get there, she has asked for help breathing. By the time you get there, she is in multiple system failure. You get there, As her Punjabi grandmother wails, "Pa Rob, take me instead."